filled with tragedies, 800 began getting more and more active in the streets, with stories circulating about the crew having infamous shootouts with people who would go on to become legends in Chicago drill music. In 2013, a beef would break out between members of 800 and a group of gangster disciples from 63rd and St. Lawrence, and Big Mike from 800 would seemingly shoot up one of the most famous members' homes, FBG Duck, with Big Mike taunting Duck on Twitter, claiming that he had done nothing to retaliate after this shooting. 800 Boss Smooth would also join in, taunting FBG Duck and saying that they made him move after shooting up his house. However, these brazen acts would not go unpunished in the streets, and it's alleged that members from St. Lawrence quickly retaliated by shooting Big Mike in his legs, resulting in him being paralysed and having to use a wheelchair to this day. And FBG Duck would even himself reply to Boss Smooth, implying that it was the GDs from St. Lawrence and 63rd that were directly behind paralysing Big Mike. However, Boss Smooth would merch it on Biddy that it was a different set that shot Mike, and one popular rumour is that the shooting was actually carried out by another set called TYMB, who may well have actually been responsible for the paralysing of Big Mike. Regardless, the exact cause of this injury would indeed remain a mystery, and despite having feuds with numerous dangerous street gangs in their area, 800 would continue to dish out violence themselves. 2013 was the year that 800 began their spree of violence, leading to a savage reputation, with everything kicking off after a brutal altercation with a member of Mac Creek, the same gang who had killed Tommy in 2009. On September the 9th, 2013, a man named Alan Ross, known in the streets as Fish from Mac Creek, was found laying in a grass patch in Washington Park at 6 a.m. Initially, it was thought he died from a gunshot wound to the back of his head. However, the medical examiner would later determine that he had actually been beaten to death. Redditors have argued that Alan Ross, aka Fish, actually suffered mental disabilities, making this case even more heartbreaking and senseless. Users of the Chicago drill community Chiracology would actually cite this murder as 800's first revenge killing against Mac Creek. One popular rumour is that Fish was actually murdered over a mere $5 debt by an 800 member called Pyro, along with 3 other men. 800 members seemed pretty proud of killing Fish, despite him seemingly not being much of a threat in the streets. Boss Smooth would later rap on his scathing diss track 61 Dead Ops, "We don't do no fighting, end up like Fish." However, the 800 member rumoured to be responsible, Pyro, just 3 years later, in late May 2016, would suffer a brutal ending in scarily similar circumstances to what happened to Fish. Pyro, real name Kevin Larry, was in Washington Park, the very same park where Fish was killed, apparently playing dice with members from another gang called MOB when a dispute over a bet heated up. An MOB member by the name of Domo would reportedly shoot Pyro several times, leaving him dead. Now, before this murder, 800 and MOB were apparently on good terms, and Pyro himself had even been pictured with some of their members. No suspects were charged in the following 2 weeks after Pyro's death. However, in a shocking turn of events, MOB Domo would be arrested immediately after holding a press conference, due to the fact that he was seeking $15 million in compensation from the Chicago police after being shot in the back by an officer while running away. A crazy incident which was even caught on camera. And the news would actually report that while Domo was literally waiting for an Uber after his press conference, the police would pull up and arrest him for the murder of Pyro. Really shouldn't have messed with the Chicago police. Domo was later sentenced to 50 years to life in prison for the murder of Pyro. Now, he would later appeal part of his charges with an updated projected parole date of 2066. Prominent member 800 Lil Fatz would express his sadness after Domo received his monster sentence, as 800 members likely planned on killing him in retaliation, something which would be made much harder by him doing life in jail. Pyro's murder would cause a major split between the gangs MOB and 800, sparking a war that would later see a notable MOB member's funeral being shot up. But this was far from the only time that 800 had severed their ties with massive gangs in their area. On September the 6th, 2015, 800 members would be involved in an infamous shooting at a block party. Another gang called Jaro City was said to be having a party with another gang called Taekwondo World in 800's territory. So, at around 1 a.m, 800 members approached them, began arguing before a fight broke out, ultimately ending in a shootout. During the crossfire, a 20-year-old woman with ties to Jaro City by the name of Booby would end up being shot, later dying in hospital. Booby was apparently the girlfriend of 600 founder Lil Boo, who also died in 2015. Now, these two areas had a pretty historic and serious beef, and Bite Down from 600 would brutally mock her death on Twitter. People on Reddit would speculate on the circumstances surrounding her death, suggesting that she had indeed been killed by 800 members in the crossfire of that shootout. Fast forward to 2018, and 800 were into it with pretty much all of the blocks surrounding them. Even their alliance with 051 Young Money would collapse after 051 linked up with TYMB, ending the alliance between 800 and Young Money. 800 would have the largest grudge against one gang in particular, MOB. Pyro was clearly beloved by his hood, even being memorialized in music. One example being Boss Smooth's Pyro-style series of songs, all surviving gang members constantly using the phrase on Pyro. So, 800 members would reportedly be looking for their revenge on rivals from MOB, with this grudge making the gang prime suspects in one of Chicago's most infamous shootings. On the 9th of October 2018, MOB Dusky, rap name Dusky the Man, was murdered, allegedly, by 600 members. The following day, MOB members would retaliate, killing a 600 member by the name of Waldo, with intense speculation on the Chiracology subreddit that this was indeed a revenge killing. MOB likely felt at this point that they had avenged their fallen brother. However, Dusky's funeral was set to be held on October the 22nd. This is when that funeral would be tragically shot up by numerous people with automatic rifles, leaving 6 people shot, with one being the most serious. One of these men was shot in the head, and this person turned out to be Wooski, an infamous gangster disciple from St. Lawrence Neverhart Avenue. Many rumours would spread after the shooting, debating exactly who it was who could have been responsible, as Wooski, MOB, and the GDs from 63rd and St. Lawrence had a lot of enemies in Chicago. Many have theorised that the shooters were actually O-Block and or 600 members who would shoot up the funeral as revenge for Waldo, with King Von from O-Block himself dropping numerous songs referencing the funeral shooting, like the track Grandson for President, where he references the shooting of Wooski, rapping, "I've been killing stuff for too long, it's like I'm a veteran, Wooski got shot, now he taking medicine, but anyway, GDK. Or on the song Back Again, where he raps that he might slide to funerals and shoot up everybody outside. However, many believe that it was actually 800 that might have been behind the funeral shooting, and much like O-Block's rappers, 800 members would leave many clues in their music relating to this shooting. 800 Fatz would rap in his song Do Some, "You know I'm gripping my toolie, run up on him, have him looking like Wooski, slide to the funeral, and shoot us a movie." And on the track Head Tap, Fatz would also rap "Up the Glock, quick head tap, now looking Wooski slow." However, Lil Fatz may not have been involved in the actual shooting, as police recordings from the day of the incident apparently labelled all the alleged shooters as having short dreads, and other 800 members could well match this description, as has been theorised on Reddit. But regardless, it seems 800 was celebrating the shooting that happened, and shooting up this funeral is already an insane thing to do, but as dark and violence-fueled as 800's history is, nobody could have predicted the rampage that 2 of their members carried out in 2021, when in just one dark day, 4 people were shot, 3 people were killed, and the streets of Chicago were left terrified.